We got our lighting set up now, and last week we got the knitting done here. Today I'm hoping we'll get everything textured here. We'll see how far I get. But first let's do the sleeves. Right now my node setup for that is very simple. I ended up wanting this to be like a vest like thing, and then this should be another kind of fabric. Now setting up nodes for a fabric texture takes a lot of time. I could just use a texture of some sort, like a photograph of some sort of fabric, but I found a free procedural fabric texture that I really like, and the node setup is not too complicated. I found it at Gumroad. Here it is. So gumroad.com, and then I just searched free procedural fabric shader, and I got this one. That's really good, and it's also free, so I grabbed that. I stuck that in my materials library. So here's my materials library. The node setup you see here, that's what I got from that place, and there's several different colors. The one I think we need to use now is number 3, and that means I need this node setup. We can append that, so I'm going to do that. So making sure I'm on this texture here, and I'm just going to go append. Okay, so here's my materials library. If I go to material and find fabric 3, and I can append that, and I have it here. So now it replaced my sleeves. I can rename this now. So here's my texture setup. Let's compress this a little bit. Okay, so I have a UVMap. So I'm using the UV output from my texture coordinate, and then I have 4 mapping nodes here. 2 of them goes to wave textures here, and 2 of them goes to Musgrave textures over here. How does this work? These down here makes the thread of the fabric. These 2 here make some variation in color. And then I have a bump thing too. So that's pretty much it. I have a wave texture that makes lines in one angle. As you can see, I've set a rotate to 44 degrees. And the other one here has no rotation, it's just 0. So we get a bit the same as up here with the harlequin pattern. We get some lines going crisscrossing here. It's wave texture, so our lines now are not entirely straight. And the color ramps control how broad the lines are. And then we have a scale here which is quite high. We might need to tweak those. And then we math. And some of it we send to a bump. And then we have some colors we can tweak here in these 3 nodes here. As you can see, there's lines. Hang on, if I stop rendering and just go to material preview. That's the fabric texture. If I zoom in, you can see the wave pattern here, and there's a wave pattern the other way as well. So that's these 2 nodes. Then there's some noise going on here, some darkness here, and that's the Musgrave up here, one of them. I don't remember which one. So that's pretty much that. I do need to tweak this a little bit because I think it looks a bit thick right now, and I want this to be a finer material, and right now it looks quite sturdy with the texture on it. So I need to play with these. Instead of fixing it here in those two, I'm going to make a value. Thank you, Logan, for suggesting that. Let's do an input value, and then I just plug it into scale here in both of them, because then I can just change in one place. So let's see, 0.5 is clearly way too small, but by trial and error I landed at around 300. Gives me a much nicer and smaller texture, I think. The Musgrave textures, I need to change those as well, but I don't want the same number here in both of them, so I need to change them, each of them. I want 400 there and 300 here, and the rest is okay. Now I also want to change the colors. Let's see what I have here. I don't want it to be light, I want it to be dark actually. So let's see. Oops. Some sort of a darkish color here, but not too saturated. Something like that. And then brownish color here perhaps. Something like that perhaps. This color I'll copy, so Control C and then Control V here, and then I just need to fix this one. Let's see it rendered. Okay, perhaps a little bit darker still. Control C, Control V. I think I have an issue with my UVMap. Let's go to Material Preview again. Oh, my lights. I don't know if you can see it, but I'm not happy about this. And the fact that it's a bit squished here and there. Well, it's not evenly distributed here, and that's my UVMap killing it for me. So, like, I re-unwrapped the shirt down here. I think I need to do it for the hood again as well. The sleeves are pretty much okay, but this is not. If I go to edit mode, I combined the two sides here, so I don't really need that line. So edge select, grab that, and yeah, pretty much clear seam. Okay, so back to face select. I can select all of it now. Now I do want to keep this down here for my baking, because I stock it all on my UVMap and it's ready for baking now, but I don't like how my material out here is distributed now. So what to do? I do need to unwrap it again, but then I will destroy this. So first of all, I do need a texture image texture here for when I'm baking. But I will also make sure that, that I use this UVMap that I made for my baking. So if I go here to my object data properties and find my UVMaps, you can see I have one, this one. So that's the one I'm selecting here. So now I know that when I'm baking, I am using this to bake to. I'll make an image texture later on. I want this to be different here, so I make another UVMap. Let's call it texturing, perhaps. Now I still have my render camera up here. It should stay here because this is the one I want to bake to. But for now, let's make sure this one is highlighted, selected, and now I can unwrap this again. So unwrap. Now over here where I have my texture, I need to set this to the UVMap I just made. So I need to set it to the texturing and then replace that node I had before. So let's see. Might have to unwrap the sleeves again too. Let's have a look. It's just room here. Okay. I like that a lot better. Now it's more evenly distributed with the texture on the hood. And because this is not the UVMap I'm going to bake to, I don't care if these islands fit on my texture at all. I don't even need to move them anywhere or care if they are overlapping or anything. I'm only using them to control the texture right now. So this is fine. I'm not going to deal anymore with the layout of UVMap. I'm just leaving it like that. So that's pretty much the sleeves. Let's go back to object mode, kill that texture node that I don't need, and we can move on to the next material. We have the sleeves now. Let's see, did I end up with two sleeves materials? Yes, this one, and it's not being used because now I'm using this one. So I can just delete this one and get back to my view layers, and that means I can rename this one now to sleeves. So let's do the eyelets because that's dead easy. Eyelets here, we already have our nodes. It's easy. Specular, metallic. There we go. Now they're ready. I'll put the roughness down as well. Perhaps not all the way down. A little bit of roughness might be fine. There we go. Eyelets done. The strings. They are already going to be baking this pattern because they've been twisted. I don't think I want to add much else except I might bring the specular way down. I might tweak the color later, but right now I'm going to stay with that. Now we have to do the border, the inner hood, and the fur thingies. Let's do the border because I'm going to reuse the texture from up here and just tweak it a little bit. So if I go to border, I'm just going to delete those, go to sleeves and copy it all, box select, Control C. Where are my screencast keys? Sorry about that. Go to border, Control V. Since it's a border, I want the texture looking a little bit different. I want the pattern to be different. The fabric pattern. Let's move it up here where we can just see it. I don't want this any longer because I don't want these to have the same numbers anymore. So scale here, I want that to be 500. But scale here, I want to be 200. And I think I need to change the rotation here a little bit. Let's set this to 35. More like a very stretchy edge, you know. Perhaps change the color ramp here a little bit. So if I move this up here and this one too. Now the color. I don't really want it to be the same color as the sleeves. I'd rather get closer to the strings color. So if I go to strings and copy this and then go back to the border and stick it in here. Perhaps turn this a bit darker. How's that? So that was the border, and of course it changed up here at the hood as well. That's fine with me. For now, let's have a little break.